Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and as I promised, I will from now on review all of the Goosebumps short story books right after I read them so that I don't have an embarrassing situation where I completely forget about anything that happens in like multiple stories. But I just think that that's a testament to how bad that book was. At the same time, I really want to be as professional as I can to help you guys really understand why anything is bad. Like, I don't want to just sit here and say, that's bad, that's bad. I want you guys to understand so that, you have a better, really, it's really best to do that with anything, to have an explanation for why something is the way it is, instead of just putting it out there and then just, I hate it when reviewers do that. So anyways, I am here to review Tales to Give You Goosebumps. This was the first short story Goosebumps book, and I gotta say, I was impressed. I liked this book. I didn't like it as much as the other one that I read. I've read 3 so far. The first one was trash, but then the second one was really good and had some really good stories mixed in with really bad stories. But this, I don't know. This might be the best. I don't know. It's tough because there's some really good stories in here. We have 10 stories to go over, so let's get started. House of No Return. I give this story a B. And what happened, the reason why I suddenly started reading this book was because I was painting. There was this person, and I owed her a painting since 2018. And what happened was, if you guys have read my book, there's a part where I talk about this painting, where I say that I started painting it and I got really mad and upset and I ripped it up, and then I made that a marker drawing, and then I started another painting years later, and then I lost that painting, and so now I had to do that painting all over again and get it done in one afternoon, because I want to get things done now. I want to produce things. I want to make as much money as possible for my films, and so I had to do that in one afternoon, and it was a nightmare. And so what I did was I listened to this book to try to take my mind, to try to ease my stress, and it really helped. This book was very, very good, and it was probably one of my favorite reading experiences ever, of listening to this book while I'm painting. And I have to use these watercolor paints that I have too, and it was very relaxing. And with this first story, I really liked it. I wasn't expecting to like it, The House of No Return, but it was very dark and it was very different from the episode, because in the episode the bullies are presented as bullies. They're evil. They're fucking not likable. They're pretty mean and just sleazy scumbags. And the bullies in this story, they're actually really sympathetic, and it feels like they're lonely and all they want is another friend in their group. And nobody really seems that into horror as this one kid who he's scared, but it seems like he's pretty likable. And it's cool that this story, you sympathize with these characters instead of hating them with a passion. They're 2 different takes on the same story, and so I really like that you have these 2 alternate versions of the same story with very minor tweaks. It was very dark, though. It was very sad that that they were killed at the end by these ghosts. And that's the other thing too, is that these kids, what they would do is they would force other kids to go in there for an hour. And if they survived an hour, they're in the club. But they don't have to do it themselves because they made the club. I just think that that's hilarious too. That was funny. We don't have to do that. that was pretty funny. And the kids go in there, they never return. That's why it's called the House of No Return. But the thing is that we know, or wait, no, they run out and scream. But the thing is that, we know that these kids are okay. We know that this is just a harmless thing. But at the end of the book, it's revealed that there are these dangerous ghosts inside this house, and they want to kill kids, and they want them to stay in the house as ghosts forever. And how are these kids supposed to know that? They never went in the house. Like, how are they supposed to know that the ghosts in this house just so happen to be these evil, demonic ghosts who want to do kids harm? A lot of ghosts, they don't want to do anything besides just fuck around, turn a light on and off, move a door. They don't want to kill you. I don't think they hardly ever want to kill you unless they're demons. So the fact that this just so happens to be this house, we don't even know the house's history. We don't know who these people are. But just so happens to be this house where kids can get killed by these ghosts. And, like, how is that this group's fault? How is that their fault for not knowing? Like, there shouldn't have been anything bad about going in a haunted old house, Like, I would go in a haunted old house to join a club, maybe. I would do that. So I don't understand why that would be such a like a, I don't know. I don't like the implication of, like, at the end, like, they get what they deserve, but like, why? Like, they didn't know. So, but I do love the ending. It's a very dark ending, the way that you have a kid who bargains for the lives of other kids. That's pretty dark, like, R.L. Stine said some bullshit in his master class where he said he doesn't kill kids in his books, Goosebumps books, and in this short story, these kids clearly die at the end. They clearly are brutally killed by these ghosts. So, I don't know. It's pretty weird, but I like it. I think that the story is better when you like these bullies because you're actually put in the mindset of the girl in the group, and I like it better that way. In the episode, it's just very, very cliche, where you have these bad people, and you want something bad to happen to them. Oh, wait! It's also pretty much ripping off the episode. It's pretty much ripping off this Tales from the Crypt Season 5 episode, where there's this fraternity, and the way that you get in is you have to go into this haunted house and stay there overnight or something, and then they don't come out. And so what happens is the fraternity guys go in there at the end, and they all get killed by these evil ghost cheerleaders. So it's the same story. So they really fucked up with that by, making it so similar to that and taking the nuances from the short story. Now, I promise I won't go this long with every story. It's just for some reason, everyone loves to talk about the House of No Return. Teacher's Pet, I give a C+. There's a really hilarious line in this book where the two main characters, you have a guy and a girl, of course, and they're not boyfriend and girlfriend for some reason, and the boy says, "Some guys around here think it's weird for a guy and a girl to be friends." And I just think that that's hilarious. Like, yeah, right. In every fucking Goosebumps book in history, the guy and a girl are just friends. Like, this. like, 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 this is probably the only time in history where R.L. Stine has talked about how weird it is for a guy and a girl at age 12 to just be friends, and how, you have people who call them weird, because everyone usually from that age and on, they're dating. They have cutesy little stupid romances that probably don't last. And the fact that you actually have that line, that is one of the stupidest lines in Goosebumps history, because because it just goes against, at like every single book in his fucking series. You got a guy and a girl. They're clearly they have good chemistry. They should be dating at some point in the story, or they should have been like exes, ex-boyfriend and girlfriend, something. Because a lot of the times they have such good chemistry. And the fact that you actually have the nerve to put that line, some guys think it's weird for a guy and a girl to be friends. Like, just, there's just like no self-awareness there at all. Or I don't know if he said that on purpose to be funny, because back then people criticized that he didn't have the balls to do that, or maybe he wanted to do that and the editors wouldn't let him or something. I don't know. But I did not like the main characters in this story. They're a couple of pussies. They're these kids, and their whole story is, guys, that they're mad that their class is taught by a guy who loves snakes, and he has all these snakes, and they're mad that they have to sit in a class with snakes. And I get that, like, that could be pretty scary for kids who are scared of snakes, but the thing is that they're so unlikable. Like, who cares if you don't like being in a class with snakes? Like, there are so many other problems in the Goosebumps series to worry about, like vampires, werewolves, the houses of no return. The last thing that these kids, they can buy monster blood off of the store shelf, the local grocery store. They can go buy a haunted mask at the local Halloween store. This universe has problems to deal with. The time travel, cuckoo clocks of doom. Worms that are in the ground everywhere. Basically everywhere you walk, apparently all the worms are alive and they're gonna fuck you up if you do anything to them. These kids got stuff. They have priorities, and the fact that these kids' priorities are snakes, they're just some snakes. They're not even evil snakes. So what? They eat mice? They gotta eat something. What are they supposed to do? Eat their own shit? And so you have these kids. They don't like their teacher because he's mean. And he's just a little mean this one time because they let a mouse get loose that one of the snakes was supposed to eat. And of course, predictably, the teacher is the snake. And there is a really good twist at the end, though. I love the twist because the episode was kind of bad. Like, it was pretty bad. The twist at the end was stupid as shit, where you had like a bee or something that was like a person. Oh god, that was so dumb. But this twist is basically that they find out. Well, here's the thing: they want to go into the school to break out all the snakes. Like, just like, fuck these kids. I hate them. I hate these fucking characters. I have never wanted characters in a Goosebumps book. Besides Monster Blood 2, I have never wanted characters to face the wrath of the Goosebumps monsters than these two twerps. These two friends, quote unquote, going into a school to let loose school property, to let like a whole room full of snakes, they want to set loose so that they can get killed, they can get terrorized by other kids who might want to torture them and have sex with them. You know, and I've seen that before. Like, there was this one foreign person on Facebook, and it was probably one of the most sickening things I've ever seen. This random foreign person sent me a video of a guy having sex with a snake, and forcibly having sex with a snake. And I was like, that was like disgusting and gross and traumatizing and just so evil. Like, people are evil. And so the fact that these kids are so shitty and fucking evil themselves, that they let these snakes out. Like, just go ahead, snakes. Go get shot at by people. Go get stepped on by people. Go get taken to zoos and shit. Go get taken in by fucking weirdos who want to do weird things to you. You know, just what a bunch of shitheads these kids are. And so they get into the classroom and they discover that their teacher is a snake too. And he is actually like a Chad teacher in this book, because he makes a deal with these kids that as long as they bring them mice all the time, that they won't hurt them. I mean, what a fucking badass teacher. Like, I gotta say, like, I really like this guy. Like, he's cool. I love snakes too. I love alligators. I love snakes. I love lots of animals. But, you know, snakes I really, really like a lot. And, you know, I really gotta say, like, this story, it's just a C+, because it was very simple. I hated the main characters. And it was just like, meh. Then you have Strained Peas, which is about this family accidentally getting the wrong baby. And it's like this demonic, possessed alien baby, and it is the funniest shit ever. Like, I give this story an A+. This didn't even feel like it was trying to be scary. It was trying to be serious. It was hilarious. I loved it. I loved this story, Strained Peas. You know, and just even talking about the title makes me want to laugh, because there's this part where he walks into the house, like, from school, and he sees, like, his sister, and there's, like, all this green shit all over the walls. And he's like, look, see, this is proof. She just puked demonic puke all over the wall like the Exorcist. And then the mom is like, you silly boy, that's not demon puke. That's strained peas. Like, that was just the funniest thing. I don't know why it was so funny, but I loved this story. It was so funny, and it was so good, and it was so much better than the episode. I mean, I love this story. I gotta say, it was like American Dad meets Goosebumps. Like, I never expected it. I could barely even paint. Like, I was laughing so much at this hilarious story. So yeah, Strangers in the Woods, I give a B-. Very, very typical, very reminiscent of the old story, where you have this aunt, and the kids have to stay with their aunt the whole summer, and the aunt is behaving weirdly, and then it turns out at the end that the whole time she was having trouble seeing, and she needed to find her glasses, which I thought that was a very clever and smart story and a clever twist, but it was just very mediocre. Like, nothing really scary happens. It just has this unnerving atmosphere. But still, I like it. Then you have Good Friends. I give this one a C-. It's very forgettable. It has a good premise, though, you know, with imaginary friends. You know, that's a good horror premise to talk about those. But it's not long enough to do anything interesting. You know, this is probably the shortest story in the book. How I Won My Bat, I give an A+. I love this story. It's about this kid who's supposed to be the top player on his baseball team. and he meets this creepy guy in the street, and he says he runs a museum and he has this special bat for him, and he gives it to him on the catch that he'll bring it back to him as soon as he's done playing his game. And as predicted, he wins the whole game. He's looked at as a hero, a champion, and then he goes back to the museum, and it is just, the atmosphere in this story is incredible. The bad guy is really creepy. I love the idea. It's a very simple and suspenseful idea because, and it really is, this should have been a whole book. It should have been longer because the suspense that you could have had from him having to go to the museum, because he says you come to the museum right after the game, and he's actually thinking about going to have a pizza party, and just imagining like the suspense that you could have had from him trying to get back to the museum. And then even in the museum there's this great scene where he says, yeah, I'll let you keep the bat, even though I told you to fucking come here and return it. Swing the bat. I want to see the greatest swing of all time. And he swings, and mid-swing, he gets frozen in place. And I just thought, like, this is a good story. It's a simple but good story. Mr. Teddy, I give a B. It's a very similar story to Night of the Living Dummy, where you have a teddy bear who comes to life, and it's purchased by this girl who is a spoiled brat, and the teddy causes all this trouble and makes it look like her younger sister is causing the trouble, blah 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 blah. It really doesn't have much of an ending, though. It just kind of ends with them finding out. So, it was very creepy, though. A lot of these stories, they creep me out. They made me feel slightly discomfort. A slight feeling of discomfort. Now, Click, I give this one a B+. It's extremely different than the episode. Instead of having plot like the episode does, having like this really good plot where like, he pauses his family and he has to go fix the controller somehow, and then the remote control company is in the episode, and all these things that are in the episode. It's so shocking because this story is like bare basic. Like, it's all about this kid, and he's really lonely. It seems like he really needs friends. He really needs like someone to hang out with, and so he just like sits around watching TV, and then he goes around using this magical remote and to cause trouble, to get stuff he wants, to get 2 desserts at lunch, to cheat on a test, to speed through a class. And I really love that you make him feel for him, because in the episode, that in the episode, that kid's a fucking, he's a jackass. Like, he is just he is just the most, like, unlikable, selfish prick in the whole Goosebumps universe, almost. And in the book, it's like you have this kid who's just having fun, and he's just, he's sad and he's lonely, and so he kind of uses this remote to get back at people, and to, you feel for this character. And so it's all the more heartbreaking at the end when, of course, the remote is out of batteries, which means that he's out of life, and he's trapped in this place forever, this darkness. And it's okay, it's nowhere near as good as the episode, though, except for that one change where they make the character likable. Broken Dolls, I give a D+, because this was boring. I couldn't even understand what was going on because I was just zoning out and not even caring. And so I had to look back at the summary after I finished the story. And I gotta say, these were some great ideas, and it should have been like a full book. This could have been a full book. It was like the longest story in this book, and it felt like, why not make this one a full-on book so that you could flesh these ideas out and really do a good story. The Vampire in the Neighborhood, though, I give an F-. R.L. Stine, he used the same twist again! You know the twist I'm talking about. We were the bad guys all along. Why? R.L. Stine, why? Okay, you have this story about this girl named Heigl. What's her name? Like Heidi? Heidelpoo? Hygiene? Helga? I think Helga is her name. Ooh, a European name. I'm gonna die. It's a European name. European names are terrifying. Not. Okay, Helga's pretty hot. I mean, Helga, just saying Helga, that's not a creepy, weird person's name. Like, at least give her a weird name. Like, these kids, and basically it is this bizarre story where these kids are fascinated by this European girl named Helga, and she lives in this scary old house apparently, and she dresses in a black skirt every day, and she has gray eyes, and so they think she's a vampire. And they stalk her every night. They watch her at home. Like, it's really bizarre. And then at the end, it turns out that she's not a vampire. She's a girl pretending to be a vampire to impress these kids. And all the kids and everyone in this universe are all vampires already. So, basically, she's just trying to fit in. And I just thought, that is the stupidest... Like, how many times is he going to use this twist? I mean, it's not even about aliens anymore. It's about vampires. Now, what's next? Is he going to do werewolves? We were the werewolves all along. Gasp. Who cares? Like, what a stupid twist. Why did you have to do that? I was loving this book. I was loving this book. I only gave one bad grade. And so I had to end up giving this book a C. This book gets a 35 out of 70, and that equals a 70%. This gets a C because it doesn't have the wow factor that some of the stories in the other one does. But it is pretty good. It has some pretty good stories. And for the most part, I enjoyed this book and would definitely... read some of the stories again, but I just gotta say, like, why? Why do you have to keep doing that twist? Why? Like, it just change it up. Like, I understand that, you have to have a twist in every Goosebumps book, but for God's sakes, just change it up, man. Just change it up. Like, if you make a hamburger every day for the rest of your life, are you always gonna put cheese on that hamburger? Are you always gonna put the same stuff on that hamburger? No, you're not. You're gonna change it up so that you can enjoy it more. You're gonna add a little sriracha. You're gonna add a little cayenne pepper. You're gonna add a little mayonnaise with the ketchup. You're gonna do something to change it up. You're not just going to have a burger with cheese and pickles every day for the rest of your life. That would suck. That would be miserable. You're not going to do that. So why are you doing that in your own book series? This is a popular series, and you got to change it up. So... thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, tell me what you thought of these stories. Do you agree about that vampire story, because I get what he was trying to do. You know, I get it. I get the meaning. The vampire, weird, creepy girl, she's just trying to fit in. That's the twist. And so, I get it. But it should have been done differently. It should not have been the typical twist where we were the vampires all along and the vampire girl was actually the human. Just... So anyways, please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more Goosebumps book reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.